Anybody injured?
No, I don't know. My friend's not moving. Allie, please, please.
Sir, I need you to take a deep breath for me. Is anybody injured?
I don't know. Allie's not moving.
Okay, we're gonna get some help out there for you, okay?
Thank you. Please hurry. What the
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to direct your attention to those individuals that are involved in this crash. The operators of both vehicles and their passengers, the victims of this scene. For a minute, place yourself in the front or rear seat of these vehicles that you see before you. It's going to take a few minutes for the emergency vehicles to show up here on scene to help these individuals. Imagine that you're an actual victim in this crash, this alcohol-related crash. Those few minutes would seem like days when you are injured. Perhaps some of you have experienced pain in some way. You have fallen or hurt yourself in some small way. Imagine what it would be like to experience a lot of pain caused by metal and plastic bending after the first several seconds of the crash. You sitting in one of these vehicles experience feelings, pain, suffering that no person should have to go through. I'd like to draw your attention to the police officer you see in front of you. Upon arriving at the scene of the crash, your first priority is to protect the scene from other collisions. Then to attend to the medical needs of the victims. Also to summon the assistance in the form of fire, ambulance, and other emergency crews. Uppermost is in the minds of the officers is not a criminal investigation at this time, but to save lives, to care for those in shock, and to safeguard the scene so that another crash may not occur.
No, no, no!
Arriving on scene, we have the fire chief, we have the EMS personnel arriving on scene to evaluate the injuries. The chief is here to evaluate what type of equipment he's going to need to extract these victims from these vehicles. Also on scene, we just have a stop DWI deputies rolling up here on scene to evaluate the drivers of this crash to see if this involves an alcohol incident or maybe even a possible drug incident. We also have an ID personnel showing up here as well, and their job is to actually photograph the scene and actually determine what the cause of the accident was.
256, Roger, 25.
As you see, Deputy Cutting is going around. He's actually photographing the entire scene, the location of the vehicles, and at the same time, he's also looking for skid marks or any determining cause of this crash. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to direct your attention to the emergency crash truck that just rolled up on scene. This unit is from your local fire departments. This vehicle is equipped with a special equipment that will enable the firefighter to not only work at the site of the fire, but extract the body from the twisted metal you see before you. One instrument in particular is called the hearse tool. This device will enable the roof of the vehicle to be peeled off in minutes, enable the firefighters to reach the victims. Maybe cut away a door, or even cut the vehicle in half to reach these victims. To use this instrument alone, a firefighter has to complete over 100 hours of instruction. All of these professionals you are observing now also do this on their own time. These are volunteers, and their job is to save lives. And as you see, these firefighters are going to crawl right inside these vehicles to help stabilize these victims of this alcohol-related crash. As you can see, the EMS personnel is working hand in hand with the firefighters, trying to stabilize their victims, while the firefighters are trying to pry open the doors of these vehicles that are twisted and mangled to the point where they can't open them.
Alright, first thing I want you to do is put your feet together, hands right down your side, you understand? Alright, first thing I'm going to do is just check your eyes, okay? See the tip of my pen? I want you to follow it with your eyes and your eyes.
Please draw your attention to Deputy Flickner, who's actually running field sobriety tests on one of the drivers of this vehicle. Deputy Flickner is running these tests to determine the alcohol that might be in this person's system, or if he's under the influence of any type of drugs. As you can see, Deputy Cutting is actually taking photographs of everything that's laying around the scene that is of evidentiary value to us and could be possibly the cause of this crash.
Next thing I want you to do is go ahead and put your left foot on that yellow line. Put your right foot in front of your left foot, heel to toe. Hands right down your side. I want you to stand just like that until I tell you to do anything else. You understand? Stand like that, you understand? When I tell you to do so, you're going to take 9 heel-to-toe steps down that yellow line. On your 9th step, you're going to leave your lead foot on the line, take a series of small steps, complete a turn, and take 9 more heel-to-toe steps back. It's going to look like this. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, simulating that your 9th step, leaving that lead foot on the line. Take that series of small steps to complete a turn, and take 9 more heel-to-toe steps back. 1, 2, 3, and so on all the way till you get to 9. While you're doing this, you're going to look down at your feet, count each step out loud, hands right down your side, and once you start, do not stop until you finish. You understand? Whenever you're ready.
And as you can see, the fire department is quickly popping the doors off of this vehicle so they can get to the victims and get them removed from these vehicles with that first tool. And EMS personnel is standing by, hopefully trying to stabilize these victims until they can get them out of the cars. Deputy Flickner is now watching for any type of falter in the test that he's giving this young man right now. Not only are the firefighters worried about getting the victims and getting to the victims, but they also have to worry about these vehicles. These vehicles are potential bombs. They ride around with a fuel tank that is full of fuel. And that fuel can erupt into a fire or even an explosion in these vehicles. As you can see, the hose line that's out here to protect that scene.
All right, sir, can you go ahead and put your feet together, hands right down your side? Last thing I want you to do, when I tell you to do so, you're going to raise whatever foot of your choice, approximately 6 inches above the ground. Keeping your foot parallel to the ground, you're going to look down at your foot that's raised up and count out loud. 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, and so on until I tell you to stop. Again, while you're doing this, you're going to look down at your foot that's raised up, count out loud by 1,000, hands right down to your side, and make sure you keep both legs straight at all times. You understand? Whenever you're ready.
Everything that you see here before you today has occurred because of one reason. Because someone had consumed alcohol and had attempted to drive home.
All right, you can put your foot down, sir. All right, do me a favor, go ahead, turn around. You are under arrest for driving while intoxicated, okay? Oh. Turn around.
At this time, Deputy Flickner is now taking him into custody for driving under the influence of alcohol.
Come back here, sir.
Every one of these safety rescue professionals are here to do one thing, and that's to save lives. Try to stop anyone from being hurt further and to get them to a hospital. All because someone drank and then drove an automobile. A 2,000 or 3,000 pound projectile that in the hands of a driver that has only had a few drinks can kill. Imagine yourself in that white vehicle as a victim, as the fire department's cutting that car apart to get it away from you so they can get you out of that vehicle. You've already been through a traumatic incident with the crash, and now you're suffering sitting inside that vehicle knowing that you're injured and they can't get to you, and they're cutting that car literally right away from you as you're sitting in there. You can also see in the blue vehicle, the driver of that vehicle is now covered with a sheet. The driver of that blue vehicle did not survive the crash. I'd like to take you on a little journey. The journey that alcoholic beverage takes when it enters your body. How did this crash happen? How did this loss of life occur? When we consume an alcoholic beverage, the body does not know what we've just swallowed. The stomach does not know what it's just about or it has just ingested. As soon as we swallow something, the brain instantaneously analyzes what we have just swallowed. The stomach sends a message up to the brain, asking it, what should we do with what we just swallowed? The brain doesn't know what to do, just as if you had a hot dog or a glass of water. So the body sends that alcoholic beverage through the bloodstream. This alcoholic beverage goes directly to the stomach, then into the small intestine, and then into the liver, which sole function is to change it into urine or sweat at the rate of 1 glass an hour. But what happens if you have or you've had more than 1 drink in that hour? Perhaps 2 or 3. If the body can rid itself of 1 drink per hour, what happens to the other 2 drinks? The liver then will send that blood or alcohol back into the bloodstream in kind of a holding pattern as it goes throughout your body and mixes with your blood throughout your body. As you can see, the victims of these cars are now being placed on backboards by the medical personnel to hopefully secure their bodies from any further damage, from any spinal injuries, any neck injuries. And then they'll be transported into the hospital via the ambulances that you see behind you. As for law enforcement, our focus is now on the criminal investigation of how did this crash happen. We know what the cause of this crash was. The driver of one of those vehicles was intoxicated. And as you see, he's sitting in the back of the police car over there right now watching the devastation that he's just caused. Part of the job of Deputy Cutting for the Forensic Identification Unit is to photograph. And in this case, he's going to have to photograph the deceased person of that vehicle. It's not an easy task. Try to imagine if that was one of your loved ones, one of your close friends sitting in that vehicle who has just been deceased from an alcohol-related crash. And unfortunately, that person stays there until the investigation is complete. We have to photograph the scene, we have to do all kinds of identification work before that person can be even removed from that vehicle. Now that these victims have been secured and their injuries have been stabilized at this time, they're going to be loaded onto these gurneys. They're going to be loaded into the ambulances and transported to the closest hospital in an effort to hopefully save their lives so this accident doesn't turn into another fatal. One loss in a crash is too many. Arriving on scene will be our local funeral home to transport the person that's deceased in that vehicle to the medical examiner's office. It's now our job as law enforcement to unfortunately go make that death notify. I'd like to tell you about a death notify and what it involves. You see in that vehicle a deceased person resulting from a drinking and driving crash. This is no longer a human being. This is no longer a person that can be happy, sad, or even show emotion. This body will now be removed by the fire department and placed onto a gurney for the funeral home to transport that body to the medical examiner's office. Once we complete our investigation at the scene, our job is to go notify the family of the victim. But before we do that, we have to track down information about this victim. Who are they? How old are they? Where do they live? Who are their parents? Are they going to be home? And the worst part is we have to go and tell their parents that they're not coming home. We'll usually end up walking up to the front door. It's usually around dawn. Most crashes occur late at night. And after the on-site investigation is complete, it's usually around 5 or 6 a.m. We'll walk up to the front door and knock. Usually a father or a spouse will answer the door. The first thing they say after seeing a police officer standing there, "What's the matter? Who's been arrested?" Now you cannot inform them at the door what has happened. So you try to get permission to come into the house and talk to them and inform them that their loved one is no longer going to be coming home.
Said, you told me not to drink, Mom, so I drank soda instead. I really felt proud inside, Mom, the way you said I would. I didn't drink and drive, Mom, even though the others said I should. I know I did the right thing, Mom. I know you were always right. Now the party is finally ended, Mom, as everyone is driving out of sight. As I got into my car, Mom, I knew I'd get home in one piece because of the way you raised me, so responsible and sweet. I started to drive away, Mom. As I pulled out into the road, the other car didn't see me, Mom, and hit me like a load. As I lay there on the pavement, Mom, I hear the policeman say, "The other guy is drunk, Mom, and now I'm the one who will pay." I'm lying here dying, Mom. I wish you'd get here soon. How could this happen to me, Mom? My life just burst like a balloon. There are people all around me, Mom. They are really crying. I hear the medics say, Mom, I'll die in a short time. I just wanted to tell you, Mom, I swear I didn't drink. It was the others, Mom. The others didn't think. He was probably at the same party I was. The only difference is, he drank and I will die. Why do people drink, Mom? Can ruin your whole life. I'm feeling sharp pains now. Pains just like a knife. The guy who hit me, Mom, is walking. I don't think it's fair. I'm lying here dying. All he can do is stare. Tell my brother not to cry, Mom. Tell Daddy to be brave. And when I go to heaven, Mom, put Daddy's baby on my grave. Someone should have told him, Mom, not to drink and drive. If they only told him, Mom, I would still be alive. My breath is getting shorter, Mom. I'm becoming very scared. Please don't cry for me, Mom. When I needed you, you were always there. I have one last question, Mom, before I say goodbye. I didn't drink and drive, Mom, so why am I the one to die?
This is the sum total of operating a motor vehicle after you've had a few drinks. This is now a statistic. Do you want to know one more thing? This type of death is totally preventable. We could stop this type of killing today if we wanted to. I request the help of all of you and beg your assistance. Stop what you think, stop killing. We can do it, one person at a time. I don't care what you think of police officers. The death notify is the worst part of this job. Help your police officers to never have to do this again. Don't become a statistic. Don't drink and then drive. This crash did not hurt anyone. This crash did not kill someone. This was a simulation. Please don't let it happen to you. Don't become that statistic. Thank all of you for your attention, and at this time we can dismiss you to the auditorium.